Weather Analytics, meteorologist Joe Bastardi, your daily update, August 23rd, a day that will live in infamy. The Thursday Japanese model came out and showed week 3 and 4, which is where we are now in the week 3 and 4 period from 8/22. We didn't see this till the 23rd, saying the Atlantic was going to come to life. We jumped all over it and compared it to the hyperactive part of the season last year. You can see the blue. This is a 200 millibar where upward motion is. And the theory behind that is if the air is rising up there that high, it means that it's coming up from below. So we look for tropical development in those areas, in the yellow areas where the sinking is. So this did not appear overnight. And I don't know how many people follow us or whatever, but I have to start the story where it starts and where we started the story. On September 2nd, this came out from Weather Bureau. Florence East Coast threat, September 12th through 16, likely to be a major hurricane next week. So that was on September 2nd. We are now into next week. It's September 10th. We were very aggressive on this, having this becoming a tropical cyclone. Actually, when it was in here and just yellow, we were predicting that Gordon to become a tropical cyclone. We're doing the same thing with what's going on in the Gulf that's going to be coming into the Gulf now, but I'm getting ahead of myself. On September 5th, that was the first forecast, and we've stuck with this since. We acknowledged the GFS idea they could go out to sea. The GFS is still not bringing this in as far as what's going on where we think it's going. But this was on September 2nd for it to be a Category 2 hurricane this evening, 4 as it approached the coast, and then by Friday evening B, and this is Wednesday evening, Friday evening, and this is from September 2nd. There's Gordon recurving around, and here's the forecast for Isaac to develop and be in this area, which is where it's going now. So what does our forecast look like now? Boy, there's a lot on this. Florence, there's no change from Weather Bell. And there's no reason for me to disagree with what's coming out of the Hurricane Center. It's our forecast. I mean, and we've had it there for quite some time, since September 5th. So it goes in and then meanders around, and saw this tweet on the Drudge. Matt Drudge tweeted something last night, and it was almost a direct quote from what we tweeted yesterday morning, that this is the biggest disaster that we're ever going to see in these areas, North Carolina, South Carolina, perhaps in the Southwest Virginia here, because you're going to get a hit on the coast comparable to Hugo and Hazel. Those are the benchmark storms as far as intensity. Then it goes into the southern Appalachians. And at that time, the European generated model had about 33, 34 inches of rain printed out. And I made the quote yesterday morning, 3 to 4 feet of rain coming in the southern Appalachians and into the Carolinas out of this. So the combination of the very slow movement, Hugo moved fast, Hazel moved fast. This moves slow, it weakens, but it goes in there and rains itself out. So you got the whammy on the coast, hitting Myrtle Beach, Wilmington, that area ferociously. And remember, Hugo went in just to the northeast of Charleston. When Hazel hit that Myrtle Beach, Wilmington area, that was back in 1954. The amount of buildup since then is immense. So you could... I'm in my office. Those are my guinea pigs, and they want food. Now, I work with my guinea pigs because they're the only things that listen to me around here. All right, so we have that. This white area represents the possible development of a non-tropical system initially that may pull Florence back into it at the end. So you may have this big mishmash of low pressure in 6, 7, 8 days off the South Atlantic coast, because this is going to go in and have to fool around in here. Now, there is also a chance that it tries to turn this way. So there is some argument as how it gets out of there, but it's going to go in, sit around, and figure out what it wants to do after that. So that's Florence, all right? Now, let's get to the second most important feature, and this is the development that I think is coming into the western Gulf of Mexico, out of the western Caribbean. Remember when Gordon was just a yellow X here? We were very aggressive on its development. Same thing here. I think you got at least a 45-knot tropical storm going into Texas Thursday night and Friday with 10 to 20 inches of rain in here. All right, so right now I don't think this is going to become a hurricane, but I do think it's going to be a tropical storm. As far as Isaac is an enigma, because while I showed you that chart with all the blue on it, well, guess what's going to start developing? There's going to be a big area of yellow begin to develop in here. Isaac is coming right at that. So Isaac may reach the islands as a hurricane, but the combination of the brush with Hispaniola and the developing subsidence area in the Caribbean here may mean Isaac falls apart completely, as it's in the Caribbean, and what's left of it may drift up into this general area of low pressure that's going to be off the South Atlantic coast. Finally, let's go out to Helene. Helene is the last of the African waves. After, you're going to see this shut down almost as much as it ramped up. And we would say there's going to be a 2 to 3 week hyper period in the Atlantic basin. So, again, I know that sounds pompous and egotistical, but this did not happen overnight. In fact, I've showed a cajillion times our forecast for where we had the red area this year in the Atlantic, well displaced from the main tropical areas we had last year. Anyway, this tries to recurve and may mill around here between the Azores and Africa for a few days. But it will be the last of the African waves. Now I'm going to show you this just as an example of what we have behind the paywall. This is from the European site. I can't show this all the time publicly. Every once in a while, an advertisement. I'm advertising for the European Weather Center. Believe me, it now has the 47 inches of rain forecast. It has been, it's been rock solid on this storm, and it's usually, folks, when the European jumps on it in a big ticket item, you could just throw out the other global models and just try to ride it, especially with this pattern where we were analyzing this idea that this area of the Atlantic, the old Newfoundland wheel, as the old timers call it, I guess I'm one of them now. When you get big high pressure building in here, you look out to the southwest of it. When we had Gordon, remember when Gordon, the high pressure was in here, bang, to the southwest of it, we had Gordon. Okay, that's it for now. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.